What's up, everyone? Welcome to Let's Talk Markets with Dave Lauer. I am your co host, Pink, and today we have another very special co host joining us today from Urvin, co founder and our longtime friend from Reddit. And before you may know him as Stonk YouTube, but Alex Cohen. So thanks for joining us today, Alex. We
Thanks for
have a
having
lot
me.
to talk about today regarding the platform and some new features we've been rolling out, as well as some security updates that we wanted to share with you. So we thought we would bring a familiar friend along with us to guide you through portfolio connection, account security, and everything that has been buzzing about Urvin lately. So thanks for joining us today.
Welcome to the podcast. Or welcome back to the podcast, Alex.
It's
I
been a
think I
while.
was on one of the very first ones, and it's been a minute, but I'm here now, and looking forward to the conversation for sure. It's been a long journey, and there's a lot that's going on. So exciting stuff.
Pink, your hair has gotten purple.
It has. I think it got red in between there too. But
Mhm.
yeah. Whenever I let the kids decide, they get a little crazy. So I let
Oh
my
yeah,
4-year-old decide this last time.
my daughter, 100%. You'd be purple all the time. Although
Yeah.
maybe sometimes you'd be rainbow colored.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't lean in until I had natural hair for most of my life until the last few
Uh,
years, and I really leaned into the pink persona, and now I'm feeling purple,
I feel
feeling
like
the Irvin
100
purple.
likes, and Dave should dye his hair purple. Like anyone else? No.
Oh,
Uh,
Uh,
I'll
yeah,
send you the dye.
we'll
Like,
see. Yeah, we'll see.
my
Hot
hair
topic.
used, yeah, my hair used to be red too, just like Pink's. And then kids, and then
Yeah.
COVID, and then
for
everything.
real, I don't like looking at 2019 pictures. I'm like, oh
Mhm.
man,
I
what
know.
a
I look at my
different
hair,
person.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
Well, I've gotten only better with time. I'm just spectacular. So no, I'm full steam ahead. Let's do this.
Alex is real, and he's spectacular.
Exactly.
And here he is to prove it. We brought him on just to prove it.
Well, yeah.
So,
Okay. So thanks for joining us, Alex. Pink, good to see you. Thanks for everyone for listening. So, about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, when this comes up, we had announced a really exciting new feature for Irvin. We've talked about it a little bit on the podcast before, um, and we've emailed about it. And it's called Verified Shareholder Communities. And to build verified shareholder communities, what we do is you can come onto the site, Urvin.finance, and click connect your account. You can authenticate with a broker or other custodian, transfer agent, perhaps. And in doing so, Irvin can see in a read only fashion the stocks that you're holding and how many shares you have of each of those stocks. This lets us put people into communities where we know everyone in that community is a real person and a verified shareholder. And this is exciting in a couple of different ways, right? It's exciting because from a peer-to-peer perspective, you know that this is not a place that is filled with or infiltrated by bots, in which there's no narrative control or anything like that. And from a corporate perspective, for public companies, it's exciting to them to get a direct channel to their shareholders. And so this is something we've been building and working on for a very long time. And we were just thrilled to roll it out this month. And we've been thrilled at the reception that we've gotten. But in posting to Reddit about this, we heard a lot of pushback on security and privacy and very important and reasonable concerns. So we wanted to come on here today and talk about all of that, answer folks' questions about Irvin, about our tech, and to reassure people that we have taken every step possible from an information security perspective, from a partner and due diligence perspective, to make sure and safe that your data is safeguarded, your accounts are safe, that there is nothing that can be done to them, with them, or that even if Irvin were to be fully breached and everything exposed, your holdings are absolutely not in any way at risk. So that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, I think, taking a step back, it might be useful for folks to understand kind of the evolution and how we got to a point where verified shareholder communities are a thing. and kind of the multifaceted utility of what they are. So, when we first launched Urvin back in 2021, much of the focus at the time was providing best quality data and tools in a community setting, and we really leaned into building out that technology for the following year. And as we started to build out that technology, we started to think about personalization of the platform for the individual, and how might we facilitate users easily personalizing all of the data, the tools, the news, the communities to their own experience. And we thought brokerage connections was a very quick way to facilitate that personalization. Then on the back end of that, we started to realize, with the benefit of these brokerage connections, we could do two things. Number one, verify that people are actually people, real human beings, through the KYC of those brokerage connections, which started to open our eyes onto really the possibilities that this now new technology, these new connections with brokerages facilitated, which included the idea of eliminating bot traffic, artificial sentiment,
Mhm.
campaigns, and how can we use this new technology of verified human beings to advance what the internet, core social media, was intentionally at inception supposed to be, which is just creating connections between people.
Yeah.
And so I think, over time, this evolution from platform for data and tools to personalized platform to data and tools to verified communities with human beings to verified shareholders was a very organic evolution that occurred through conversation with community, conversation with companies, with transfer agents, which we can get into. And as Dave mentioned, we launched that technology out of beta a couple weeks back, and it was very well received. And the number one request we had when we first launched it was, we would love to connect our computer share accounts. You don't currently support that. We see it's supported elsewhere.
Hmm.
Can you please onboard that capability? And so let's pick up the conversation from there. What did we learn, Dave, from that initial launch? And what security concerns, if any, were brought about?
Yeah, we learned a lot, and I always appreciate when we put something out there, the the amount and honestly the thoughtfulness of the feedback that we get, even the negative feedback, most of it. I think that uh, I'm someone who likes to learn, and I don't pretend to have all the answers. None of us do. And when we get the hive mind looking at things, we learn a lot. And that was our experience. So we posted the announcement of verified shareholder communities, as you said, Alex, on Reddit, and a lot of people got very excited. First of all, let's put it right, like, people were thrilled, and we were really thrilled at the reception, um, as it was first received, and on an ongoing basis as well. We've seen that continue, that people want this feature, and that's great for us to see. It's always, look, it's nerve wracking when you build something. We've spent years building this, and then you put it out there, and you never know. You can't possibly know until you put it out there. We've put it out there. The traffic on the site has been very high. It's been very exciting. The communities have been engaged. It's been great to see. Um, what we learned was, first of all, as you said, the number one request we got was, I want to connect computer share. That's where I hold shares. And that comes from all sorts of places, not just people who are directly registered, but employees of companies who have employee stock option plans, right? And all sorts of, people that have received shares down from parents and grandparents and such. A lot of people use transfer agents to hold their shares. And the other thing we learned was that it was possible to connect and authenticate with computer share, which was news to us. And that's fine. We had looked into it. We had thought it was not possible. Um, it turned out. So, just to take a step back, Urvin does not create or write the connector out to brokers. That would take a lot of work. It would be we would need a company much larger. And so we rely on companies that are much larger to provide that service. These are our partners. And we have three partners: MX, Mesh, and Snaptrade. Mesh and Snaptrade are newer firms in the space. They have very interesting and compelling technologies, um, both from a security and from a sort of functionality perspective. And MX is sort of the firm that's been in this for a long time. They've been around for well over 10 years. Their product's been available for over 10 years. And they've got sort of the quantity, they've got connections to everything. They've also got an incredibly strong approach to security and information privacy. And so we rely on these partners to create to have connectors that are maintained to different endpoints, different brokers or transfer agents or other types of custodians. Anywhere you can hold stock, generally speaking, these firms figure out a way to authenticate that you are the person who holds that stock and to get that holdings information back. And it's a big business. These guys are big companies. They do this is a I guess a service that you would call account aggregation, and many people use it. A lot of people want to bring. You've got accounts everywhere, and you want to bring them into a single place. That's very convenient. That's very helpful. That's a benefit. In anything in this world with technology, there are risks, and for many people, um, you need to balance the benefits that you stand to gain with the risks that you are exposed to, and make a choice. So, I think when I saw what was happening after we posted, and to continue the story, we posted this, we got the requests for computer share. We also had people telling us it was possible and telling us how to do it. They're like, what about MX? MX can do this. And we were like, well, it just so happens that today we finished up our MX integration and tested it, and we were getting ready to add brokers through MX. And we looked, and lo and behold, computer share was indeed an option on MX. And so it literally within 24 hours, since we'd already integrated MX and tested it and we were ready to go, we added computer share in and pushed it to prod. And when we pushed it to prod, we saw that the connection that MX uses to computer share was different from the other connections that we have used in the past. And obviously, Reddit found this out very quickly and told us about it, and people started talking about what was going on with this authentication approach. And was Urvin getting access to your computer share credentials? No. Who could see them? Who was getting access to your account? What could they do? Could someone take action through these systems? And and those are the types of questions that came up, and that we have spent time making sure that we could answer in a really thorough way and transparent way, and also making sure that we were comfortable with our partners and their approach to technology, which we had already examined and looked at. But now, us being put under the microscope was excellent. It was good. And it led to us putting them under the microscope again. Let's make sure, let's double check that our assumptions are correct. And we worked with our partners over the course of the last week and a half to go through, verify everything that they've told us, verify all of their best practices and their approach to security. Nothing turned up in that we didn't already know, or that was a surprise. And what we did is we put together a comprehensive disclosure on who our partners are, what their security practices are, and for every single broker that we offer on the platform, which partner we're using and what method they're using to connect to that broker or transfer agent, and in the future, whatever counterparty we're going to connect to, how are they doing it, and are there any risks involved? Are your credentials being stored by anyone? That's the question, right?
We'll leave that link in the description too to that security statement for anyone that wants to read it.
Yeah, it's very much an ideal of informed consent. Here's the information. Here's the transparency. Here's the information. You do your own due diligence. See what you're comfortable with, and move forward, right? There's lots of different ways to engage on Urvin, and that's by design. You don't want to create an account, you don't have to. You can just come to Urvin.finance and peruse, look, lurk. You don't need an account to do that. If you want to post a comment, make a post, make a watch list, make a self-reported portfolio. You can just create an account with a name, username, and an email. That's it. You don't need to link anything. You want to personalize the entire platform with just the click of a button, you can link your brokerage. If you want to go deeper and reflect your holdings in a transfer agent, you can connect your computer share account. None of this is mandated. All of it is opt-in, transparent, hand raise, and the benefits are multifaceted. What we've built out with these verified shareholder communities, as Dave has said, is an environment, first and foremost, that's you're in surrounded by peer investors, verified human beings, verified
Exactly. Yeah.
shareholders. And I think why we so quickly reacted to the news that, yes, indeed, connecting computer share portfolios is a viable option, and more on that in a second, was because ultimately the point of these communities is to bring shareholders together. And where there's a large cohort of shareholders that exists, we've gotten a lot of feedback about adding Nordnet, and there's a large Swedish contingent of GME shareholders, for instance, that are really looking to connect. So we're prioritizing that so that those folks can connect in. It's about embracing as broad of a community as possible. And obviously, ComputerShare is part of that. So when we discovered that capability existed, we put it on the front burner, started testing it, and received the feedback that we did and the inquiries that we did around security. And as Dave mentioned, we put together a very comprehensive guide onto the very different security measures and protocols of each of the brokerages. But on top of the technological due diligence that we've done, we reached out directly to our friends at ComputerShare. And
Yeah.
we asked them about this relationship with MX and is this their preferred way to aggregate user accounts? And the answer was an unequivocal yes, that this is the current methodology that ComputerShare endorses for Urvin to use to connect shareholders to Urvin for their ComputerShare accounts. We have actively engaged with ComputerShare over what is 2+ years on developing investor engagement techniques, ideas, enhancements, and this connection and what it kind of foreshadows is hopefully part of something much larger. And both ComputerShare and Urvin are excited about updating all of these systems very much I think, in line with what a lot of the feedback from the community was, with elevating security protocols, right? Making things zero auth. And that takes time and partnership and development. And, that's what we're undertaking together. And it's exciting. But, to be clear, on top of the technological due diligence, we spoke directly with our friends at ComputerShare to make sure that this was the appropriate path forward. And the answer was an unequivocal yes.
Yeah, I just think that's so. I think that's so important, and I think that the reaction that we saw on public forums highlighted the need for what we're doing. Right? It really showed me. It convinced me far more than anything else could have that the spread of misinformation is facilitated by automated systems and generative AI. That's happening today, and Urvin has a truly unique answer to that problem. And so I think there were probably two directions that we sort of could have headed in response. One would have been to say, okay, we're going to step back, we're going to take away choice from people, and we're only going to support the broker connections that use a technology called OAuth, which is the standard for authenticating someone and providing access within scope to certain resources. And it's definitely the best approach out there. But the other reaction, which is the one we ultimately decided to go with, was no. This is too important. This is too much there's too much misinformation out there. There's too much artificial activity. There's no way to prove authenticity, right? I had people responding on Reddit and they would be like, "Do you even own shares? Why are you even commenting?" I was like, "Do you not see the irony in what you're asking
Exactly.
right
They're like,
now?"
why are we listening to this guy? Does he even own shares? Does he
It's
even
like,
do? And it's like,
yeah,
what if we had a community built
Yeah,
where you
well,
could
right,
tell
right,
that?
you can
You
be
know,
anonymous and verified. What if
right.
there was a
yeah,
way?
you
It's
wouldn't
such
even
a
have to be
cool
doxxed,
approach.
on the
Yeah,
ledger or anything.
yeah,
So
It's such a great way. It's such a
yeah.
great use of this kind of technology, and this whole episode just highlighted for me why this was important. And
It's
so we doubled down and we said, you know what? We're going to put this disclosure out there. We're going to provide people an unprecedented level of transparency. I haven't seen really others do this. There are plenty of other apps that offer you the ability to connect all of your accounts. We're going into great detail as to who our partners are, what they do, linking to their security disclosures, and then, a broker by broker breakdown on every single connection and the possible risks, right? And if you're informed and you decide that the benefits outweigh the risks, which I think they do, and I've connected every account that I have, and I know you guys have too, and it's something that we eat our, this it's called eating your own dog food, right? Like we use the platform, we connect to it, we are verified human beings on the platform, and it really just went to show me the potential value of a community and a social platform with verified human beings.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned partners and partnerships, and I think at the end of the day, the value proposition that Urvin is offering is one that when you hear and realize, you're just like, what? How does this not already exist? Which is just a way for companies to talk to their shareholders,
Right.
right? Like right now, it's unilateral. Shareholders can call investor relations, sure, and can reach out, send us a message, but there's no dialogue, there's no continuing relationship. And that's because companies themselves don't have the capacity and the tools and the understanding of their shareholders to create that relationship. And that's because it's obscured behind this NOBO OBO classification, the largest monopoly in the United States, Broadridge, who keeps going back to the well, keeps doling out connections piecemeal and monetizing those connections piecemeal to the disadvantage of shareholders and issuers. And what we've reached now because of this technological advancement, and really I think broader than that, is an investor awakening to the power of their shares and their votes and their voices. What we've reached now is
Yeah.
a point where that disconnect can be bridged through opt-in at whatever security level people are comfortable with, but where now you can have a suite of digital services, a suite of virtual relationships that are persistent with your groups of shareholders, with peer-to-peer relationships among shareholders, but also company to shareholder relationships. And that's in part, I think, one of the main learnings that we've had over these past few years, because it has been, a few years now, and we've not had our head in the sand. We've been talking, learning, and listening. Many of you are aware that we spoke at ComputerShare's client conference last October, and out of that had many more conversations with transfer agents and issuers, and learned that the solution that we're building is one that's wanted by really all sides of the marketplace, the two key stakeholders, issuers and shareholders. And so now what we've done, and really who's in our targets, how can we build Urvin into be a sustainable business that still advances the interests of individual investors, that still services the interests of companies and issuers, but still can monetize and profit and grow? Like, how can those things all coexist? And the idea and the backbone is around providing value at undercurrent market prices, but above operating levels. Right now, to reach out to you as shareholders, Broadridge charges, and they charge a fair amount. And those campaigns cost companies money. And it's reoccurring, and the payoffs to that are negligible. Those are dollars that can be redirected to create nurturing, persistent relationships ones that lead into the 21st century, that embrace the great wealth transfer, that understand who their future shareholders are. So this isn't a zero sum game between shareholders and issuers. This is a new conduit for very firm value exchange among them while marginalizing some of the more legacy incumbents, which I think, it's time for the well to refresh a little bit.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think you said it perfectly, Alex. And so, I just want to reiterate a couple of things. There were a lot of concerns raised about security and about Urvin's approach to security as well as our partners. And so I want to start there. First of all, we were accused of having access to people's credentials for their financial accounts. It's not accurate. It's not true. Urvin cannot see your credentials when you enter them into that form. We have no visibility into that, nor would we want to. I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want the information security risk that goes along with that kind of thing. None of us do. And so let's just first and foremost, Urvin has no access in any way to any user credentials, nor do we have any means of affecting any type of action in those accounts. All of our connections are read only. And generally speaking, our vendors only offer read only functionality. So if they were hacked, if we were hacked, the only thing at risk is information. There is not a risk that they could go into your account and sell your shares, for the most part. And we'll get to that in a second. But generally speaking, the functionality these firms offer is read only. There was a screenshot going around where someone used one of our partners to connect to their account. And that screenshot said that partner gets full access and can transfer your assets and all of that. Unfortunately, the screenshot was accurate, but the message was not. That was an incorrect disclaimer or disclosure on the part of our partner in that context. They never had any ability to transfer assets or to take action in the account. They only offered read only. We have talked to them and worked with them. They've changed the text on that modal. They've changed their terms of service to make sure that they're accurate and they reflect it. And now that's no longer being displayed. So, just to head off any issue like that. Now, it is true for some connections like ComputerShare, they do not offer OAuth level authentication. And so, yes, you have to enter your credentials, and those credentials have to be stored by someone and used to access and view your account, just review, read only, on an ongoing basis to make sure you still own those shares. That's the point of the verified shareholder community. Not just that you have been verified at a point in time, but that you are currently a shareholder. And so otherwise, the system wouldn't work. We wouldn't be able to create a platform free from bots and free from artificial and inauthentic activity. So for ComputerShare, that firm is MX. That's our partner. And if you look at MX, they have bank level security. They have top of the line financial industry security. They have controls in place. They are audited and tested on a continuing basis. They are SOC 2 compliant. They are what's called PCI DSS, which is like the level of security for handling credit card numbers. And so even if your user credentials are stored with them, they are encrypted and there are controls in place to protect them even from an attack within the firm, right? So at every step of the way, your information is safe and it's as secure as it can be. And that means that you can rest comfortable and rest assured that you are not exposing yourself in a material way through our platform, any more so than you are already exposed by having financial accounts at these different firms in the first place, right? You are already engaging with the financial system. You are engaging with technology. You have accepted certain levels of risk in doing so. We are not trying to expand the surface of your vulnerability or your attack surface is what it's called in information security. And this is a space I've been in for a while. I mean, I want to be clear that information security is something that I have known about and worked in for many years. In fact, even before I was in finance, I was working with an open source effort called the OSTEM. It's the Open Source Security Testing Methodology Manual. And it's the only open source standard for security testing of technology systems and broadly for firms and their behaviors and their attack surfaces. I know the maintainer. He is a close friend of mine. He is a former business partner and a former teacher. He taught me in university. That's how we met. I was the only one in the program, which was a business program, who took the information security class, who knew what Telnet was. And so we hit it off. And you know, and it's an area that I've contributed. I've contributed to this open source manual. I talk to him on a regular basis. It's something we take very seriously. And at Urvin, we've held ourselves to a very high standard of security. Our platform is built. A lot of people asked us another question: will you open source your system? Can we see what you have built? And while we are not going to open source what we have built it on an open source platform called ABP. You can go look abp.io, and it is a microservices platform that provides excellent resources for building the kind of platform that we are building, and it comes built in with all of this security. We have done as much as we can to embrace and adopt open source frameworks, platforms, and because those are definitely the most robustly tested out there. As well, we have done our diligence on our partners, and we have provided as much information as we possibly can on them, and we are comfortable with them. And so, we have done what we think is everything you can possibly do to both approach this problem in the most secure way possible and provide you the most information possible so that you can make the right choice for you. And that's ultimately what we think this comes down to: informed users making choices. And we're not telling anyone or forcing anyone to do anything. And honestly, if other people are telling you what you should or should not do, maybe you should question that. And maybe
Beware
you
the
should decide for
gatekeepers.
yourself.
Yeah.
Beware the gatekeepers. That's right.
Well, fantastic.
Gatekeepers have cost us Pink's video.
uh,
So I'll answer one more question. I think it's the most important and, frankly, the most intrusive question that we got, which is, how do I maintain these curls? And, I got to tell you, it's actually, it doesn't take a lot of effort.
It's all natural, baby.
It's all natural. I do condition every other day. I rarely shampoo, and I sometimes use curl cream to moisturize. So that is my full hair care routine for those who are really wondering and really want to put the hard questions to us. You got your answer.
so what accounts for the dividing line, out of curiosity?
God, I have no idea. This is graying a little, but it's very, I've been accused so often. Even before I went gray, I was always accused of dyeing different things because my hair was always my hair went brown, but then this stayed red. So my hair used to be redder than this. I was born with orange red hair, although I'm not a ginger. I want to make that clear. Not a ginger. I have a soul. So, let's head off that line of questioning. No, I love gingers. I love all of you. I love all my fellow redheads and my red beards. But my hair has gradually gone brown, now gray, but the beard is slow. It's slow to catch up. I think. It'll happen, I'm sure.
Maybe, perhaps.
If Urvin has a monopoly on anything, it's Dave's with great curls. So.
Yeah, that's right. There he is.
There he is.
There he is. If you ever wondered where the Dave with great curls are.
Yeah, there they are.
Finance.
My hair care routine is wake and shake.
His curls are better than mine. That wasn't
Whatever
always.
y'all are doing, it's working. Alex, your hair routine's working for you as well.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's frankly the most glorious of all of them, but I'll keep my mouth shut.
All
All
right.
right.
Well, there's a lot that we covered today. We covered a lot of ground. I appreciate you coming on, Alex. Uh, you're always such a sunbeam. We love having you on
It's
here. So
always a
thank you for
pleasure.
coming. And we hope you learned a lot from today. Um, we're here for transparency. We want to provide as much transparency as possible. And in case you haven't noticed by now, we don't shy away from tough questions. So I appreciate Dave and Alex for taking this head on. Dave, you're doing a great job on Reddit. We've got a fresh post up at the time of recording this on the Reddit community, the larger Reddit community, to help address some of these issues as well and go into some more detail and welcoming some new questions. If you have any new questions, Dave will be on there probably for the rest of the day answering
For sure.
questions you may have about the platform. Of course, you're always welcome to join us on the platform at urvin.finance. Get your portfolio connected and you'll get added to the verified shareholder communities, or you can just be a lurker, kind of like I'm doing right now with no video. I'm just kind of lurking around here. Um, so thanks for joining us today. If you have any other questions, check out the description box for links to the security statement as well as our website, and I will link the Reddit post as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share with your friends, and we will see you on the platform. Take care, guys.
Thanks everyone for listening.